Today on Knife Banter, we're talking about boot knives. Let's talk knives. How's it going, guys, and welcome to Knife Banter. Today we are talking about boot knives and I am stoked. Kurt, are you stoked?
I'm way excited. This was fun.
This was a fun one, right?
Yeah.
This is a lot like the neck knives video we did.
Right.
Right? Like, I personally don't have a lot of experience carrying boot knives. You got a little. Which
bit.
We're gonna get into, but kind of an interesting second way to carry a knife.
Definitely.
You got the first knife on the table. What do you got?
We'll start off with this Buck Ops boot knife. Now, this thing it's surprising, I would say. It's a good utility knife. You know, you got your Tonto blade. This, for me, is a 3-finger knife. It doesn't quite fill the hams, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I think for a boot knife, you kind of want something slim. It's got a 3-inch blade, 6 1/4 overall length. This sheath is where it's at, though. The leather, when it comes up against your skin, that saves you big time, because that's one thing that I really noticed with testing out these knives for Knife Banter, is there was a lot of rubbage.
They all use the villain hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
To my ankle and or leg, foot area.
Yeah, every knife on the table we carried, guys, so that we could give you guys some real experience with how these things actually carry. And that was the number one thing, if a knife made it on the table or didn't make it on the table, was how it fit, right?
Right.
And we used a bunch of different boots. We used a couple different, obviously a bunch of different sized knives, and then mine and Kurt's legs and feet are very different sized as well. So I also like that Buck one a lot. It was a good little knife.
The Buck is sweet. The leather really is comfortable to carry. It's actually got a really decent clip, which I found was another hard thing to find, a good clip that would retain its tension when you pull the knife out. But this little Buck Ops boot knife, $100 on the website, hollow grind, let's see that, Tonto hollow grind.
Now, you're not a big fan, though, of the blade shape.
I'm not really much of a Tonto guy.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
But all in all, for a boot knife and a good utility blade, $100. It's got one of the most comfortable sheaths, I think, that we have on the table.
No, I'd agree with that.
And so yeah, G10 handle and $100. It's a good boot knife. Somewhere to start, I think.
Somewhere to start for sure.
Definitely somewhere
I
to
really
start.
enjoyed that one. If I was gonna carry that one all the time, I'd cut the lanyard off, because the sheath actually has really good retention.
Right.
The lanyard seemed to just be like a secondary precaution I didn't need. But overall, awesome knife.
I was the same way.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the first knife that I've got on the table that we carried is the SOG Instinct. Now this is a nice little slim carry from SOG. It's overall length of 5.9 inches. It's got a blade length of 2.3 inches. It's rocking just like a 5CR blade steel. It's a clip point blade, and then the handle is G10. Now, you know, it's 5CR, not a big deal. It's a boot knife, it's a second knife. It goes for $35 on the website. But this little thing, I really like this. You guys are gonna see a lot of bayonet blades and a lot of dagger blades on the table. So we kind of started with the two more like EDC utility style knives, and I actually really enjoyed the SOG one. It carried really well for me, and you can carry it two different ways. So you can put the clip on this side, or you can put the clip on this side, depending on how you wanna be able to draw the knife, left, right, outside of your boot, inside of your boot. And it's got like this cool like operator skeleton on it. I think that's just kind of cool. I don't know, just kind of a cool factor.
Little flavor.
And that's the thing is when we're talking boot knives, it's just one other way, like we said, like with neck knives, it's just another way you can carry a second blade, right?
Correct.
And the thing that I like about this, you can kind of get away with bigger knives with a boot knife than you can with a neck knife, right?
I agree. You can definitely get away with a little bit bigger knives.
Yeah.
Some might go to the extreme.
We've got a really big one on the table for sure. But that SOG Instinct, I really enjoyed carrying it. It was really lightweight, didn't bother my foot at all. And I don't know, not much more to say about this. Did you have any other like specific things to say about this?
I do like that it's a utility blade, that you can use it for pretty much anything.
Pretty much anything, yeah. And then good sheath retention as well on the sheath, and the clip also nice, really nice sturdy clip on that. So anyways, SOG Instinct, great little knife from SOG, $35 on the website.
So one thing I noticed when I was carrying, because I wore 2 different types of boots.
Right. You went cowboy boot and construction boot.
Yes,
Yeah.
I went with a lace-up, padded top construction boot, steel toe, and then I went with it was more of like a ranch hand style cowboy boot. It was like a working cowboy boot.
With American flags on it.
American flags.
It's very important.
Absolutely. What I noticed was sheath retention, the clip made everything. Without a good clip to grab the leather and hold onto it while you're pulling the knife out, that was kind of hit and miss between some of these. Now, this one right here, I've got the Smith & Wesson SWF 606.
Good old Smith & Wesson with their names.
Yep, gotta love their number names. So this one right here is a dagger blade. It's actually fairly stout in your hand. I mean, it's got a pretty solid handle. Now this is one of the better leather sheaths with the little thumb snap that actually stayed in my boots.
Yeah.
I was impressed. This one stayed in my boots, and for a dagger, that's a lot of knife, and I can fit my whole hand around it.
Yeah.
So not bad. It's a hollow grind, 4.5-inch blade. It's 8 3/4 long. That's a lot of knife to stick in a boot.
That one was actually a little too tall. I had a 3/4 Red Wing boot.
Right.
And that one was a little too tall to fit to work for my boot.
It's interesting because
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion, especially with my cowboy boots, it was just some of these, well, almost all of these were flopping everywhere.
Yeah.
Until I started carrying in the back of the boot.
Right.
And then it stayed and it worked okay, but I noticed that if you look at the clip, depending on where that is, it is very top heavy.
Yeah.
And if you have a loose boot, like a
Interesting.
cowboy
Like a
boot
cowboy
or
boot.
like a slide-on boot,
Yeah.
it's gonna want to tip.
Yeah.
It will spend its entire day wanting to go either direction.
I remember when you were wearing the cowboy boots testing these, you would like kick your leg and it would just like walk back. So
Right.
it's definitely something to consider.
Exactly.
But it did work a little better when you carried in the back.
I actually like the Smith & Wesson. It's big and kind of bulky. It's very thick handle, but for $24,
Yeah.
not a bad option.
And that's the thing, guys, is we actually had way more boot knives, but we didn't put ones on the table that didn't work. So
Right.
you guys are kind of getting the cream of the crop here. And when we're talking about cream of the crop, this one might be my favorite or second favorite one that I carried. And this is the Cold Steel Counterattack. So overall length of 6.75 inches. It's got a blade length of 3.3 inches. Just an Oz 8A dagger blade. And it's just got the Cray X handle, so kind of like a texturized rubber handle. Now this thing is intense. So it's dagger blade chisel ground. So it's a chisel ground, and we all know Lynn Thompson created this knife for one reason, right? This is self-defense, right? This is all about self-defense. Now the interesting thing about that is I've talked with, we actually have a retired police officer that works here at Blade HQ, and I've talked with other guys, police officers, and people that would be in situations where they might need a backup blade. Right?
Not just a retired officer, LAPD
retired, exactly. And even he mentioned that having, whether it's concealed carry or a knife or whatever in your boot for self-defense, is kind of impractical in real life situations, because when are you going, like, it's a really inconvenient place to get to, right? Like
You've got to bend down to get it.
You're putting yourself in a compromised position.
And more than likely, if you're wearing boots, you're wearing jeans or
something over the knife.
You're wearing pants,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so you got to lift your pant leg, find it, pull it out. That's a lot of movements for self-defense.
Exactly. I'm a big proponent of, obviously, know how to defend yourself. That's important.
Right.
But even with a knife like this that is specifically designed for one purpose, I would still just carry this as a backup, like utility, EDC, get stuff done knife.
Right.
And I had a lot of fun carrying this thing. It's just so slim. It fit in the boot really nicely. It's not an ambi sheath. That's my only thing I wish. I wish it was an ambi sheath so I didn't have to think about which way to put it back in.
Right.
But great retention with the sheath. And then you kind of mentioned with the clip being strong enough so you could pull the knife. Mm-hmm. On all the knives that I tried, I actually just used the sheath as a thumb ramp.
Okay,
so I would
you were pushing and pulling at the
I
same
would push
time.
the clip down and then pull the knife out, and that worked beautifully.
Nice.
So I didn't have this bounce around or anything. I did lose it I got a couple miles up the trail and realized I had lost my boot knife. And trail's pretty squirrely. I probably shouldn't have my street bike back here, but it's fun. And on my way back, look what I found. So there it is. Got it. I didn't lose any of these knives out of my boots. None of them really walked on me. I think the reason I lost this one is because it was a sketchy trail on a really old bike, and my foot was going out getting caught by branches and stuff. And
Gotcha.
I think it just got caught and pulled out. But
I really like that cold steel. Put it back in the sheath and just give it a light shake.
oh yeah. Here, I'll get it.
That is so minute, but man, that drove me nuts.
Did you notice it while you were carrying it?
I could feel it like clicky click.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is, I honestly love the knife. I think it's the appropriate size.
And that's something like on the trail, I didn't even know I had lost it for a while because this thing just disappeared in my boot, man. Like no problems. Yeah. Every knife that I carried, I think I did close to 3 to 5 miles every day to really test out like the wear and the how it would feel if just your normal day going back and forth to wherever. And I didn't get a hot spot with any of these. So you can pick up that Cold Steel Counterattack 2 for $30 on the website. So again, a lot of knife and a lot of fun. And that was something that I found when, I don't know if you did the same thing, but like, so I got these boot knives and I'm like testing retention and how they carry and all that. So I'm like taking them out and like cutting stuff up and like throwing them into trees, and it was just cool. Like it's the same principle of carrying a fixed blade every day.
Right.
It's just, there's an awesome factor to it, but on top of that, it's like concealed, which is kind of neat as well. Right?
Absolutely.
What's the next one you got?
So I have a Kershaw Secret Agent. Now this is a polymer sheath.
Second favorite one on the table right there. That's my Yeah.
This one was actually not too shabby. I did have a little bit of problem with my cowboy boot with the clip not having strong enough for tension, but I probably should have just figured it out and did what you were doing, pushing and pulling, push on the sheath while I'm pulling the knife out.
Yeah.
Right. So the Secret Agent, it's a good knife. It's almost a 4.5 inch blade. The overall length is just short of 9 inches. It's got a really well-designed, very grippy, rubberized handle. Now this is a plain edge. I don't think it's a dagger. Tell me.
It's a bayonet, isn't it? Because it's one side's dull.
This side's dull.
And the other side's sharp.
But it is also still ground out like a dagger.
Huh,
so
interesting.
Dagger's only two sides.
Right.
Both sides are sharpened,
Yeah.
right?
So not a proper dagger.
This looks like a dagger, but it's a bayonet.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, I actually like this one. Other than having that little problem with the clip in my boot, this is probably it would have been one of my top choices. Plus, I don't know if you have noticed this trend, but boot knives, you can buy boot knives at not too many dollars.
That's the other awesome thing.
$29.
Exactly.
$30, and you have this bayonet Kershaw fixed blade boot knife.
Yep.
And this one is ambi.
And again, it was so slim, that thing just disappeared in my boot. Like, it's
Yeah.
completely fine. So the next one I have up is a knife that's not designed to be a boot knife, but a lot of you guys out there probably already have fixed blades. So if you're interested in maybe carrying a boot knife, there are like different carry options. So I wanted to try out an ESEE knife because I love ESEE. So this is the ESEE Candiru. So overall length of 5.9 inches, blade length of 2.3 inches. It's a 1095 steel. This might be this one might have the nicest steel on the table out of all of them because they're all kind of inexpensive knives. Drop point blade, and then just the skeletonized version of this thing. So it comes with just a nice little sheath, and then that sheath comes with a really good clip, right? And that's the other neat thing about boot knives is if for some reason you can't keep it in your boot or it's bothering you or whatever, you can just put it up on your belt. Like it's no questions asked.
Throw it on your belt, put it in your pocket.
Exactly, like no problem. So this one has a nice clip that's intended for like a belt or a bag. I tried it in my boot. So this one did not work on the inside of my boot. The sheath was a little too wide. It was a little too, it wasn't very comfortable. So inside the boot didn't work. However, I clipped it so that the clip went inside my boot and the knife was outside of my boot. And my pants covered it just fine. You couldn't see that I had a knife on.
Nice.
And you couldn't feel the clip at all.
Really?
So it was really good.
That's a win-win.
Here's the one thing. Now, I want to stress, the Candiru was not designed to be a boot knife. So if it doesn't perform perfectly, I think it's acceptable.
Yeah, it's okay.
Right? This is the only one that I had problems with retention, in that the retention was too good. so with this thing, pulling it out, I mean, you can, like, it takes a bit, and then putting it back in, it takes a little bit too. So when it's connected to your boot, if you want an easy one-handed knife, which is what I wanted with my boot knife,
right,
Candiru is probably not your top choice.
Okay.
But if you want to have like a backup survival blade or something while you're out, hiking or whatever, you want to make sure, like, okay, as long as I got my boots, I got a knife, right? Like one is none, two is one, right?
Right.
Great option for that, but definitely not great if you want to like be pulling it in and out often, or if you want to be using it for different tasks and putting it away quickly. It kind of takes two hands to get it off the boot and put it back in. So
gotcha.
That's the one thing with the Candiru. You can pick the Candiru up for $60 on the website.
All right, guys, this is the last one I have, and this one is a doozy.
This one is the most boot knife on the table. Let's be honest. This is the most boot knife on the table.
Oh yeah, definitely. Maybe if I was like a pirate and had like knee-high boots or something like that, like something bigger.
Don't we all aspire to be a pirate, though?
I mean,
like, in my heart, I want to be a pirate.
This one is just shy of 13 inches tall.
It's amazing.
What are we talking about right now? This is the Schrade Needle. Now, this one was interesting. This was the very first one I carried, actually.
Yeah.
It's got a good leather sheath. It's got a decent clip. It's a very stiff clip. I did put it in my cowboy boots and had some walk in it, but after I moved it to the back, the very back, it actually was not bad, because in my cowboy boots, my heel gets cupped in.
Okay, yeah.
And then from there, off your heel, it starts to loosen up, right? And so this fit right down in there to where I could feel it a little bit on like my Achilles, but overall, this thing wasn't terrible to carry.
That's awesome.
Now, I don't think you could carry this with a lot of different boots. I think it would have to be a deep boot. My cowboy boots are, I don't know, I'd probably give them 10, 12 inches.
I couldn't even get this one to like touch the lip of my boot. Like, I couldn't even try to carry this one because it was so deep that the clip didn't even touch the top of my boot.
Right.
So you'd have to, I mean, it's almost a cowboy boot knife at that point.
Well, and I think that's the cool thing of what we've done is we've used a variety of different boots to kind of see what boot might fit the knife.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I guess for viewer, whatever boots you have, what knife will fit your boots, because sometimes boots are more expensive than your knife. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're buying good boots, your boots should be.
Good boots are expensive. So this one's cool. It's got a polymer handle, leather. It's actually kind of grippy. I don't know if they like dipped it in something kind of grippy. Here's the best part about this 13-inch boot knife, $20.95. And yeah, man, cool. That's an intent. If you're carrying this, I want to know who is carrying this currently in their boots, because props to you, man. This thing is a beast. Cool.
So the last knife that I have on the table is kind of a boot knife. Not quite a boot knife. So this is the CRKT, this is an AG Russell, this is the Sting. Overall length of 7 inches, blade length of 3.25 inches, 1050 steel, it's a dagger blade, and then it's just got a steel handle. So this thing's just like a beast,
just
right?
a brick.
It's not crazy heavy, but it is heavier than any of the ones that I had on the table. It's probably closer in weight to that, not the buck, that one.
What about that one?
Kind of an interesting knife. So when we were getting ready to film this, Jamie was like, nobody wears boots. And I'm like, well, I wear boots, and I want to know about boot knives.
I wear boots.
Let us know
all the time.
Let us know in the comments if you guys wear boots. I feel like a lot of guys have boots, right?
Yep.
And so if you're watching this knife banner, and if you don't have boots, the Sting is kind of a cool knife that you can get, and it has these straps that go on your legs. So I had a high sock on, so this was over a sock. Honestly, it was fairly comfortable because it's not in the boot. It's not like retained on a clip where the boot can kind of float it a little bit. I think that with time, this probably would get annoying to wear though.
maybe starts to wiggle into an uncomfortable spot.
Yeah, or it works, like I kind of like went for a little like jog with it to see how it would like bounce and stuff like that. Sheath retention's awesome. It's an ambi sheath. But I did find that I think this one would walk around on you a bit because it's not in a boot.
I feel like it would slide my sock down, and that drives me crazy.
Fun story, it actually didn't slide
Really?
yeah, surprisingly didn't slide my sock
That's cool.
down. Yeah, which I thought was really interesting. And I don't have like fancy socks. There's like some crap, I don't know,
Yeah,
whatever socks,
socks.
you know.
There's socks.
So anyways, so the Sting could be a knife. If you're looking to carry something, a fixed blade on your ankle, it's an option. Some of these other knives, they have like holes in the sheath where you could get some Velcro straps and carry it that way.
Right.
But let's be honest, just buy a pair of boots so you can carry a boot knife.
A boot.
Oh, and that goes for $45 on the website.
If you were to choose one of these knives to carry as a boot knife, what would it be?
I hate waiting.
I'm actually gonna go with the cold steel.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the counterattack because I don't ever carry knives with chisel ground.
Right.
So I kind of like the idea of having like a second blade that is a different grind than any other knife I have.
I'm gonna surprise you right here.
Yeah.
Really enjoy the buck.
Okay.
But I think I'm gonna go with this Smith & Wesson.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
The crazy number,
Yeah,
letter
yeah,
name. I'm sure
yeah,
Jamie
whatever.
and those guys will
Bloop,
put
bloop,
it up.
bleep,
Yep.
bloop. Yeah.
It is heavy,
Right.
but it clips solid enough in my cowboy boot or in my construction boot.
That was something that was interesting too. Is I honestly, when we started this, I honestly anticipated that we wouldn't show the footage. Like I figured that we weren't going to do this knife banner, guys, because I figured I'm gonna put this boot in my knife, or I'm gonna put this knife in my boot, and I'm gonna get a hot spot. Immediately, I'm gonna get a blister. Something's gonna irritate me, right? No problems with any of these knives on the table. So, like, I don't know. I was pretty stoked to find like, oh wow, you can actually carry a boot knife.
There were a few that I had to find the comfy spot, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
This has been a fun experiment
It has
because
been.
I haven't carried a boot knife since, like we were talking earlier, I was like 12 years old and I had this Explorer Ranger 2 dagger blade fixed, and I always shoved it down in my shoes because I thought I was super awesome.
Yeah.
Like I was playing out in the apple orchards in Utah, and I legit thought I was Rambo with a boot knife.
Dude, this is the thing is and I've touched on this, like it goes back to this principle of like, when you carry a fixed blade, there really is this like level of just like confidence that you get.
Yeah.
Like, I can do anything. Right?
Totally.
When you have a fixed blade, you're
Absolutely.
like, I can do anything. And so this is just kind of another cool way that
Yeah.
you can carry a fixed blade on the daily. And like I said, I wouldn't, like this for me personally, I would not neck knife this. A lot of these knives actually come with a neck knife carry. This is too much knife for me to neck knife. Like if I'm gonna carry a neck knife, it's gonna be like that big. You
Right,
know?
absolutely.
So this is a cool way to carry small knife or a bigger knife, right? And just have a fixed blade on you.
Yep.
So I don't know. This was a lot of fun. Let us know down in the comments if you guys like this one. Let us know down in the comments if you carry a boot knife, what you carry, and if you're not carrying a boot knife, let us know what boots you're gonna buy so you can start carrying a boot knife. I go Red Wing. Go Red Wing every time. All right, guys. This was a blast. Hope you guys had a good time, and catch you on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure to hit subscribe, and you will be getting awesome Blade HQ content every single week. We have our website where you can get all of your knife needs, and we put together a sweet playlist with more knife content.